Would you like to support the Insiders? Pick up some merch now. Support us by getting a shirt, a hoodie, support Abby's window, get a Shenanigans shirt, whatever you'd like. Pick up some merch now. Insiders Pro Wrestling. The link is at the end of the video.
Happy Sunday, everybody. It is December. Oh my gosh, it's December already. It's December 4th. We literally have 27 days until 2024. 27 days until next year already. It's crazy. This year just flew by in every aspect, in life, in wrestling. It just flew by. And by the way, guys, I just wanted to share this with you. I am in a tremendous mood today for two reasons. You want to know why? Number one, I got to watch my favorite band ever go out last night on such a huge note. You guys all know I'm a huge Kiss fan. I got to watch the pay-per-view last night. It was really, really awesome to see. They were tremendous on the stage. And found out afterwards in interviews that Gene Simmons did the entire show with a kidney stone. Wow. Came out and joked about it. And I'm like, dear God, man. Like if you know the pain of having a kidney stone, how he got through that. But got to say goodbye to them, and also loved the announcement after. It was this big. There was a countdown going on the internet site. I'm like, what is this countdown for? And all night I'm wondering why. And then they go, there's going to be a big announcement after the show. The smoke comes all over the stage like I've never seen it before, like a big cloud of fog. And then all of a sudden they announced that they show these digital, characters of Kiss. It looked like they were out of a video game. And here they partnered with Industrial Light and Magic. You may know them from Jurassic Park, Star Wars, and also a company called Popcorn something. In any case, they have made themselves digital avatars. So basically, they're going to be doing, and the band ABBA had done this already, and some K-pop acts as well. But they are basically immortalizing themselves so that they can do concerts digitally with these avatars without even having to actually be there, which I was blown away. I'm like, how it's going to work, I don't know. Are people going to buy tickets for a digital concert? I don't know, but I still think it's cool. Usually you see this kind of thing after people posthumously, like after they're passed on, you see them revive digital, and use like deep fake technology and all that kind of stuff. But it was just cool. I was talking to Jeff. I got one of my best friends growing up. Her name's Kim. We grew up both she got me in a kiss. She was a year older than I was, and we were kind of chatting. We live far away from one another now. We were chatting during the concert. It was just really cool. It was a really cool moment, and really, really enjoyed that. And you know why else I'm happy? I bet you some of you can guess. Because the Eagles got slapped around today, and I got to listen to the Philadelphia Eagles postgame show live, in which they crucify that team whenever they lose a game. It was wonderful. I absolutely love when Philadelphia loses, and boy, did they get destroyed. It was wonderful to see. And now the game with the Cowboys next week means first place in the NFC East, which I'm just gonna be happy for a week, as Dallas will probably find some way to lose that game. But hey, it is what it is. But I'm in a good mood, man. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk some wrestling tonight, Jeff. We got a full plate. It was a big week in wrestling again, dude.
As always. It seems like, especially the last couple years, it's just been one big week after another. So it makes doing things like this pretty simple, right? I mean, gives us a lot to talk about. So
it
really
does.
Good week to chat about wrestling.
Yes, and I'm growing in my Michael McDonald beard. That was another goal of mine. I don't know if it'll ever get. There's no way. Like, he's got a nice full thing going on with the gray streaks and the black. Yeah. I don't know if it'll ever get that long, or if I could even grow it that long. But I'm trying. So it's already getting to me, though. It's getting a little itchy, and it's like I had to buy that beard wash and stuff like that to make it fit. Yeah. So we'll see how long it lasts. But yeah. All right. What's up, everyone? Hope you all had a great week. And we're here to talk some wrestling, obviously. So thank you for joining us tonight. And let me first go over our schedule. We have, today is Sunday. Obviously, tomorrow we're doing Abby's this week, yes?
Tuesday at 6.
Okay. So make sure you join. Oh, yeah. I did see that. Whoops. I hit the wrong button. I did see that Jody had put out that she's got some giveaways, I think, in the form of CDs from Caleb Johnson, I think, that she has to give away. So that's kind of cool. I know Jody does a little segment on that show about him, and very, very good singer. He does. He's doing he's coming up here actually very soon to do the Trans-Siberian thing. I did see that advertised in the arena. That sometimes has Raw and SmackDown, which is like 5 minutes from my work. So make sure you tune for that. They're also going to start a new bracket, which is going to be they're moving on to the Supernatural bracket. Which, by the way, I'll tell you another little quick story, Jeff. I read the entire plot of The Exorcist Believer online. Yeah. I tortured myself and read the entire plot.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad I didn't watch it because of some of the scenes, because they graphically said what they were, and so I'm pretty glad I didn't watch it, but I did read it, and so I got the gist, and then I thought to myself, well, geez, it was a really good thing you didn't watch that.
Well, I was going to ask you if it moved you to change your stance, but
nope.
You answered the question pretty succinctly there. So
no, absolutely not. But yeah. So all right. So yeah, make sure you join those guys for that. That's on Tuesday, same time, 6 o'clock.
Yep, 6 o'clock.
All right, 6 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday night. So make sure you join them. They'll also have all the usual stuff. They'll do the artwork and stuff as well for those of you who are those talented people that do all that art. Make sure that you come out for that. Also, this coming Thursday, we have. I didn't really see anything from Impact yet or what they're doing, but I would imagine they're going to have something because it's a go-home show. So we'll be here for Impact Wrestling, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this coming Thursday. It's a go-home show for the pay-per-view that is next, Saturday? Yes?
Saturday, yep.
Yeah, Impact Wrestling Final Resolution is next Saturday, so we'll be here for that, of course. That is the last one, end of an era. It's the last Impact pay-per-view that they're going to have. So big thing. So make sure you join us for that. That'll be this coming Saturday. It is the same day as NXT, unfortunately, which I know Tazzy's doing. So, split screen it, put it on both. So you guys all know how to do that, right? You can do split screen. So just split screen it. Come watch Impact's last Impact pay-per-view with us on Saturday. And then, of course, we'll be right back here next Sunday for Between the Ropes to kind of put a bow on everything and wrap everything all up. I'm sure there'll be some stuff that happens during that pay-per-view we'll want to talk about. Some other quick news. As I said earlier, we're getting to the end of the year. So what that means the awards, our TIGS awards are coming up. I'm going to be working hard on those for the next few weeks. I'm going to get those out to you as soon as I can. It'll be in the form of a poll. You'll be able to go in there, you click it, you go in and you vote. So please, let's get record votes for us this year. Make sure you all find it. I'll make sure to put the link on YouTube as well as Facebook and obviously on our X account, our Twitter account as well. So make sure you come out and vote. And then obviously we'll have the show in January. And we will tabulate all those votes, and we'll let you know who are our winners for male wrestler, female wrestler, best match, and so on and so forth. We'll have 10 categories, so make sure that you do that. All right, I think that is it. Let me welcome some folks in, and we'll get moving. We got Clown in the house. Brandon Wayne Lewis is here. We have Greg is here. Hello, Greg. Jeremy, a member of our channel. Some applause for Jeremy. Welcome, and thank you so much for being a member of our channel. We really appreciate you. Derek is here. What's up, Derek? Tazzy's here. What's up, Tazzy? How are you, man? Gust is here. Welcome, Gust. A. Jobson is here as well, cheering for Buffalo. Are we ready to rock and roll all night and party? I did last night, man. I'm all rock and rolled out, Big Dan. Yes, I had an awesome time. James Grant is here. Alicia's here. What's up, Alicia? Hope you are well as also. We got Bunkers. LFC is here. Brandon, I think I saw you before. Brandon, oh, you watched it too? Nice. I really thought it was a good show. They picked some good songs, and I thought it was really good. Nathan is here. What's up, Nathan? Jason Peace, good evening to you. Let's see, we've got Damien. Hi, Damien. How are you? Hope you're well. 49ers beat the crap out. Yes, they did, and I was very happy because of it. C is here. Jeff and Santa Joe. Yes, I could. Yeah, I guess I could be doing that. Although this would have to be all completely white, and it's getting there. But I'm not going to dye it in any way. So yeah, maybe I'll get a Santa hat. If we do anything close to Christmas, maybe I'll wear a Santa hat.
There you go.
So there you go. Michael McDonald. Oh, dude, I absolutely love Michael McDonald. I absolutely love Michael McDonald. I love the song "Sweet Freedom." Listen, if he ever played around here, he did a Christmas album too, and one of the songs plays on the Best Buy Music every day. So every day I hear him singing "White Christmas" or "I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas" on the thing. I'm like, oh my god, it's Michael McDonald. It's fantastic. Thank you for you 49ers. You beat one team, and you think of hey, they beat the Eagles, though, dude. That's all that counts. That's all that matters. My Cardinals beat. I saw that Pittsburgh lost. Barry Monkey has a very long post. Barry from Twitch, welcome, by the way. Saw a fight between two drunk men in the middle of the road. Watched for about 2 minutes. No martial arts, no lingering lightning bolts, no spinning kicks or magic. Just two drunk men pushing each other and falling over. It wasn't like the computer game versions of a street fight. Lucky they were able to stand up. Alexa Bliss Gamer 0809 is here. What's up with you? Hello, Mark. How are you? Hope you're well. And Brandon Davey. Imagine Denver lost today, so they really hurt their playoff chances by losing that game. So, all right, that is that. All right, we're gonna start tonight. Maybe a little bit different. I mean, there isn't a whole ton of breaking news per se. There's really not a ton that happened that's new, other than what happened on the shows. So instead, and again, this is something you guys can get involved in a little bit too. And I just thought it was kind of a cool discussion because I heard this on, you guys all know, I listen to Busted Open. I heard it on their podcast and I thought it was a really, really cool discussion. So Jeff and I are going to start with a little discussion about this year's WrestleMania. And we want you to play along because I think it's really kind of cool. And I ran this by Jeff, and it was talking about how, it'd be a fun discussion to have. But basically what we're going to talk about here is who do you guys all think? And you don't have to give me the entire card because God only knows there's going to be a big card. But who do you think what do you think are going to be the main? Hello, Anthony Slate. By the way, I did not miss you. Anthony, of course, a member of our channel as well. Thank you so much for being a member, Anthony. We appreciate you. Who do you all think is going to be in the main events? I guess we'll just leave it at that. Who do you think will be the main events for this year's WrestleMania? And Jeff and I are going to discuss. The reason I'm talking about it is if you didn't listen to the Busted Open show, it's a very interesting discussion because Tommy Dreamer took a very different stance from a lot of people that you would think they would say. And I think a lot of people automatically think because of stuff that we had happen last year that they're going to go a certain way with this. But now, man, he made a good argument. So now I don't know. It was a really interesting conversation. But yeah, let us know who you think will be the main eventers. Now, Jeff, and I'm going to let you start out, man, because everything we've had go down, we've had CM Punk show up. Obviously, he obviously is going to be a player. Yep. In the main event picture, more than likely winning the Rumble. I would think. I would be surprised if he didn't. So I guess the question then is, if we're assuming that Punk wins the Rumble, Jeff, who do you have him facing? And then who is the other main event? And tell me why you think so.
Oh man, see, this is tough. It's tougher than people think because I think the automatic answer is just to say, well, Cody's gonna go after Roman, right? So, that just kind of leaves us with Punk and Seth, which isn't bad, by the way. Don't get me. That's not bad.
I mean, they kind of started that, Jeff, right? With the whole, the flipping them off in the hallway and being held back when he showed up, and then with the little dig that he got in on his speech about, some people were happy I'm back, but some others weren't. So yeah, right. They got that in already.
They got that in. I mean, they planted those seeds for us, but I think for me, what I would like to see is, since they planted those seeds, I'd like to see that come to fruition. I'd like to see Cody going up against Roman. I want to see him finish the darn story.
Okay.
That's what I want to see. And then I want to see Punk and I want to see Seth. And I'm gonna throw this out there because I don't know if it happens, but I think something a little screwy can happen, and I don't think that's going to be for the title.
Okay.
I think that somehow, some way, Seth gets cost that title before facing Punk.
Okay.
And just remember, we have a Money in the Bank cash in that we're awaiting.
Right. Damian Priest still in the picture. Yep.
So
That's true. Good points. I'm going to throw out, and this is not my theory. All credit from this goes to Tommy Dreamer because this is what he came up with. If we're assuming Punk wins the Rumble, and again, that's an assumption. We don't know that. But it would be his quickest way to get what he wants. His biggest thing was he wants to main event WrestleMania. He said it. I mean, he said it several times, even before he's come back. So the easiest way to do that would be for him to win the Rumble. Or, I mean, obviously, if they are going to go the way Jeff mentioned, then Seth would automatically main event the night anyway, just because of the fact that he's a champion. So Punk, in essence, would main event a Rumble anyway. However, Tommy put this out there, and I thought this was just a fantastic out-of-the-box way of thinking. And he really pissed off LaGreca because LaGreca wants to see redemption for Cody Rhodes. Worse than anybody because he's a huge Cody fan, and he was pissed. He was more pissed than I was from last year's WrestleMania. If you watched it with us, you remember I was not a happy camper. I went on and on for a good 15-20 minutes about how pissed I was about it. LaGreca did worse. LaGreca, of course, screamed and yelled like he does. But Tommy came out with this possibility and said, what if he wins the Rumble? And then they do that whole thing that Punk is going to announce who he is going to go after on the following Raw. And what if Punk comes out and says he's going after Roman Reigns? It kind of blows my mind, and I'm like, nah, they wouldn't do that because you have this whole redemption storyline thing. But then the angle that CM Punk could kind of use with that, and this could lead to something in the future with Seth anyway, but he could be like, I want to go after the guy who's had this title for 3,000 plus days. I want to beat the best. I want to beat that guy. Now, he can use the same thing with Seth too and say Seth defends it every single time, right? Seth is defending the title on every show. Roman shows up 4 times a year, so he can use that in reverse.
Yeah.
But let's say he wants to go after Roman Reigns. He wants to be the one to take down the bloodline. That would be absolutely huge because no one could do it. No one could beat him. And what if he were the one to go and knock this whole thing down against his former boss, Paul Heyman? So you'd have that factor there a little bit too. And then you're thinking, well, okay, well, if that happens, well, what the hell do they do with Cody? It wouldn't be Cody and Seth, I don't think, although they kind of tease that a little bit too. So there's so many, that's why I like this. There's so many different angles they can go. Right. But what Tommy mentioned was, what if you do, because now that Cody is going to be on SmackDown, what if you do before this whole thing happens? Let's say something's going on with Cody, maybe in the Rumble. Maybe both of them are in the Rumble, right? Maybe Cody's in there. And what if they do this? Randy Orton is in the Rumble, and Randy snakes Cody. Randy takes Cody out, throws him up and over the top, knocks him out for his chance at winning the Rumble, and then a storyline goes from there. You have he called them up. This is a huge friend of his, and the Viper snakes Cody, and then you get Cody and Randy Orton at Mania because Randy's got to have something going on. Randy's going to be in a big match. So what if you get Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton? Now, it's far less of a chance, I'm sure, than what everybody else in the chat and what everybody else is saying. But I just thought it was very interesting because I guess this is what's cool about this whole thing is that there are so many ways that this can go now. And a lot of the times at this time of year, Jeff, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times we can predict what this is going to be. It almost seems like we know exactly where they're going to go by now.
Yeah.
But now there's other factors thrown into the mix, and the CM Punk thing is just something big that got thrown in there. Yeah. And now you kind of just don't know. I mean, I'm leaning toward exactly what Jeff said. I still think the safe bet is to do Roman and Cody, and is to do if you're going to do Seth against someone, it's to do Punk and Seth. I think that's the safe bet. Night 1, night 2. That's I think the safe bet, and that's probably the way that they'll go. But there are different ways you can mix this up a bit. And then Dave got furious because Dave's like, "Well, you can't make Cody wait another year. He already waited a whole year for his redemption for this. You can't make him wait a whole nother year." Well, you can. And then Bully piped in and said, "Well, he doesn't have to wait a year. The whole point of Cody." And here was the thing that Bully Ray threw in. Cody wants the title. Doesn't matter who he beats to get it.
Right.
He doesn't care who he beats. He just wants the title. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Roman Reigns.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be at WrestleMania.
That's what Bully exactly. That was his exact words, Jeff. It doesn't have to be at WrestleMania. So
that's where everyone wants it because that's the biggest stage.
Right.
And I'm going to talk about that a little bit in my grievance, but I think that we oftentimes tell ourselves this is going to happen because this makes the most sense to me.
Yep.
And that's great for you if you were the one with the pencil and you were sitting in gorilla position and you were booking the shows, but you're
Yep.
not. So it doesn't have to be at WrestleMania. It doesn't have to be right now. And I was just going to say something else that might piss people off even further. What if him finishing the story doesn't happen until another 10 years in his career? Maybe that's his story, is that he keeps getting close, but he can't quite get over the hump, and maybe one day he does. Maybe that's the story. But you know, I'm gonna say this about where WWE is right now. Isn't it nice to have different options of storyline? I mean, and we're just talking about the men's side. We're not even diving into the
Right.
women's side, which there are a lot of directions you can go over there.
Wait until you see the entrances in that women's rumble, Jeff. You're gonna.
Oh, no.
Everybody's wondering, where's Jade? Well,
Yeah.
You are gonna see some names in that women's rumble. No doubt. Jeff. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I just think that, there's a lot of different storylines on both sides right now, which is a great thing for us as wrestling fans. And the fact that we don't have a clue which direction they're going to go in at this point, when we can kind of see the direction they're going most times when it comes to getting to WrestleMania, the fact that we don't know going into the Rumble is a good thing. That's a great thing, because you can make a case for about 4 or 5 different people in the men's Royal Rumble, and you can probably do the same on the women's side. So, I mean, there's a lot that's going into this that I think is really good for us fans as we're continuing to watch the product.
That's in essence why I wanted to bring this up, because so many times we go into this season, right? We're officially going to be in WrestleMania season pretty soon, if we're not already, because there's really nothing left.
I'd say we are, because I'm saying because of how Randy returned, and because of Punk coming in, I think we're officially at that point. I think they made a point to make that happen at Survivor Series, because they know we don't have anything between now and the Rumble. I think they're saying, all right, buckle up. We're going to start this thing a little bit sooner than what we normally do.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah, no, I agree. And like Jeff said, this is we always talk about positivity, like being positive and being happy about wrestling as a whole. And this is one thing I think people should be really happy for. And who knows, maybe 2024, as we're rolling around the clock here, becomes the year of surprises. Maybe it's stuff that not everybody can predict or expect necessarily, like we got the whole thing with Punk and other things going on in the world of wrestling that are actually surprising to people. Maybe this is that year where it becomes something that we don't necessarily expect. Everybody kind of almost seems like they can predict the exact card of WrestleMania, but what if that's not the case? What if that's not the case? They were talking a little bit too about the undercard and where do you go with the undercard? Like people were saying, well, what do you do with LA Knight? Man, you've got Logan Paul out there hanging on for LA Knight, which I think would be a tremendous match. Mark Henry brought up, what if a veteran wants to come back? What if Stone Cold Steve Austin wants one more match? Could you imagine Stone Cold and Logan Paul? You imagine Logan Paul pulling that thing about how, these old wrestlers, they shouldn't be coming back. They're washed up, blah, blah, blah. They're terrible. And then all of a sudden the glass breaks in the air. And, so you just don't know. What about Brock Lesnar? Brock Lesnar loves to come back for the event. What if it's Brock and LA Knight? What if LA Knight, he's getting in Paul Heyman's, getting on his nerves. So what's a way? Maybe Heyman makes some sort of deal with Brock and gets Brock at this. So I just think, like Jeff said, I'm really excited about this WrestleMania coming up and about the Rumble and stuff, because I think there's going to be people in there that we didn't expect. I think there's going to be people we didn't expect to see, unlike other years where we kind of okay. Even last year was pretty predictable, right? Because we all knew that Cody was coming back for the Rumble. And everybody kind of figured that, all right, he's going to win. He's going to, and so it was pretty predictable. But I don't know. I think this is going to be a really fun year for the Rumble, and a really, they're really looking like they're making this WrestleMania one of the biggest ever. And I keep saying that, and I'm like, oh my God, now I wish I would have gotten tickets because I could have gone. But what are you going to do? It's yeah, but yeah, it's interesting, man. And I'm seeing all you guys. I don't think Punk will win the Rumble, says Barry Monkey, but he is going to be the one to defeat Gunther. Gives him a meaningful victory without pushing him straight to the top. What is the biggest story? Cody winning the title or Punk headlining WrestleMania? Define main event. Either night. Bonus maybe. It doesn't really matter. Punk versus Lesnar versus Roman, custody of Paul Heyman. Seth loses the title to Priest during a match against Drew. We get Seth versus Punk non-title, or Stone Cold versus Punk night one. And that's another one they mentioned too. Clown, they said, what about Stone Cold against Punk? If he wanted that one more match, and Cody and Roman. This it's just cool. See, everybody even in the chat is saying some different stuff.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. It's great because we're off balance. Nobody can predict what is going to happen. Nobody knows exactly what it's going to be. And I love it. I love it because it makes it all that much more enjoyable. We're not going to know until they make the announcements. And that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. That's one of the reasons why the CM Punk thing was so cool, was because it was kept hidden. And I love all this stuff. I think it's great. And that's why I wanted to start the show off with it. I thought it was cool. Fun storyline idea. After the Bayley turn, Asuka, Kyrie win women's tag titles. Bayley loses to Io at Chamber. Damage control attacks post-match. Sasha returns and builds a tag match with Mania. Opinions. A. Jobson would love to see. Listen, I would never. It sounds very cool, but I want Sasha to be someplace else. And yes, I want her to be on my favorite wrestling show. I want her to be the big storyline of TNA. They missed out on Ospreay. Obviously, Punk went to WWE. I think they need a big signing. Jeff and I talked about this. And I would love to see Sasha be that signing for them, because it makes their women's division, which is one of the best, if not the best out there, just another notch higher. And I think they focus on that. And I think that would be an amazing storyline for them. So that's where I want to see Sasha go. Bad Bunny, yeah, they're saying maybe he wants a match. That's what I'm talking about. All this stuff, and I love the chat. Thank you for participating. I just thought it was a cool way to kick off tonight's show, just to say how much fun this is and how much fun we're getting into the most fun part of the wrestling year, with all these big shows coming up. And the beginning of the year and TNA starting over, which we are super excited about, with TNA Hard to Kill coming up in January. It's just going to be awesome when this all rolls over. And love it. Thank you for participating. And we're going to move into the news. Love the discussion, and we're going to keep it going here. So we have this past week, and Jeff, what do we got as our first topic? I believe, well, we're going to get right back to someone we were just talking about.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to get right back to someone we were just talking about. And
there he is.
Why not? So we're going to talk a little bit about CM Punk and his promo on Raw and some of the reaction to it.
Very, very, very interesting promo. Came out and really, I think at first it's kind of different from him. He was kind of talking, I think, from his heart a little bit, saying how, talking to the fans, saying how he missed them, and saying stuff like "I'm home," which is up on the screen. I think it was coming from his heart. I think a lot of it was possibly also because, when you lose your job, no matter how it is, it's still kind of, it's kind of sucks. And you're kind of stuck in a situation where sometimes you just never know what's going to happen or come of it. And I'm sure he kind of probably had feelings like that too, a little bit, not knowing what's next for himself and whether he might be done wrestling. He was probably thinking about that, right? And then to get the call and to have this happen the way it did, and then he came back. But it was here's what interested me the most about this. Two things. The way he started it out, loved, by the way, how he mentioned his wife. I mentioned AJ Lee, which is I don't know if you guys know this, but he could never do that in AEW because that name is copyrighted to WWE. So would not have been able to say that. He could have said her real name, but not that way. But I was cool. I thought that was really cool, and the crowd kind of blew up a little bit when he did. But there were two parts to this. There was the nice, genuine part that I was talking about already, and then when the camera was panning away, completely second part of that promo. Because how he was saying that everybody loved him coming back. They were so welcoming. Didn't he say they kissed him on the mouth,
Yep.
him in the face, like just celebrating some of that, except a few people. I think that was his words. Except a few, or not everybody was happy. Something along those lines. And then after the camera started to pan away, he said, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money." So, To quote an old game show, with the real CM Punk, please stand up. Which of that, and when you listen to, and again, I'll quote some Busted Open stuff. They talked about this promo a lot during the week. They called it, Mark Henry called this promo, and so did Kurt Angle, I think, by the way. I think he said he was talking to Kurt about it. Kurt Angle did too. They called that promo safe. Safe was the word they used for it. Bully Ray agreed. Safe. Was it a safe promo? And then Bully made a comment too about saying that he looks into people's eyes when he watches them on TV. And I guess this probably comes from being a wrestler. Psychologically, you can kind of tell, I guess, if somebody's doing a shoot or somebody's being, like, you can kind of tell, maybe just by looking in their eyes. And Bully said the only time he could see or thought that he was telling the truth was that very last line that he said. He's not here to make friends. He's here to make money. So, where is this going? What, like I said, who is the real CM Punk here? Is it all just what he's going to be? Is it, was that just something on the side? Was that something that he's putting into a storyline or developing his character? Or is it all of that? Either which way, it was very two-sided promo. And some people thought for him it was pretty tame. I guess a lot of people in the crowd probably expected another quote-unquote pipe bomb type thing. But this is a guy who bashed the hell out of this company. Talked about their medical staff and how inept they were and all this kind of stuff, and bashed the crap out of this company, and then said, and in fact, they had the little post with him and Triple H afterwards saying, well, I guess hell froze over. So was this the real CM Punk? Or was what he said afterwards the real CM Punk? And I don't know, Jeff. I'm leaning a little more toward the latter. The promo about him being kissed and loved by everyone in the back, I don't know about that either. But in either way, was very interesting, Jeff. Very, very, very interesting either way.
So I want us to think about the reason why a lot of people love CM Punk. One of the many reasons why a lot of people love CM Punk. He does something with storylines and reality that I think he does as well as anyone that's ever done this. I think for him, first off, let me say this. For the people who expected him to come out and just crap all over AEW,
oh yeah,
the moment he got a WWE microphone in his hand, you need to really level set at this point. That's not gonna happen right now. It's just not gonna happen. I think the story of Punk returning to the WWE is a lot bigger than taking some little shots right now. I just don't think that's going to happen. he's going to throw in subtle digs. He's going to throw in little shade here and there. And I mean, I saw the clip of him doing the little victory lap thing like the Bucks did after Raw. I did see that. So you're going to get stuff like that. But I think, I think legally both sides will probably not say very much so we don't get some legal action taking place between the two sides later down the line. No one has time for litigation. Let's just be honest. Um, but I also think that Punk is at a different place in his career and in his life. And I think what Triple H said during the post Survivor Series scrum said a lot. He said that people grow, and he talked about how people change over the course of time, and if you don't, then that's kind of on you. I think that Punk has changed over the years, but I think this latest situation with AEW might have been the last thing that he needed to change him. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I think he's going to play both sides in his promos until we really figure out what this first program is for him and what he's doing. We're going to get those glimpses of both sides of Punk. He's going to blur those lines better than just about anyone. So I think I think that we got CM Punk just being CM Punk on Monday night. He's playing both sides of it. I think when when we get to the point where we're talking about the people in the locker room, welcoming him back and all that stuff, let's be honest. Nobody believes that.
Yeah.
No one believes that. So, and I think he's playing into that with a part of that promo. I think he's trying to be deceptive. He wants you to think that everything's okay because, and to dip into the other side a little bit, because remember when he left AEW, he was the root of all the problems, right? He was the one that was the issue. So I don't think that I don't think that he's telling us the truth, and I don't think that we should expect him to at this point. He's going to be who he is, and I think that's the best version of CM Punk for the WWE. Blur those lines, let him come out there and say those things, and then capture those real moments, like when he looked into that camera and said, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money." That's real. That's real. Let those moments keep kind of coming out every now and again. And then we're going to see the explosion of that happen. And then you're probably going to see them use backstage, like locker room type beefs or something like that in some of the storylines that CM Punk has going forward. Why? Because it makes it feel real. That's something we've heard about CM Punk in the past. What better way to use that past? And WWE has been doing that recently, using people's past to really play into a storyline. I think they'll do it here. And A. Jobson asked two questions, Joe, and I think they're really good questions. The first one was, do you believe Punk's WWE run will be successful this time? But the other part of that is, what would a successful WWE run look like for CM Punk? So I want to throw that to you first with that kind of two-part question.
It's so hard to predict because we know we have facts on the individual, but that's to say that if you're going to be rigid about that kind of thing, that's to say that you don't think people can ever change. And I'm not a believer in that, because I think anyone can. So do I think he'll have a longer run this time? Yes. I personally think that He may not show it, like Jeff was talking about. He may not show it in the promos and stuff, but I do believe he's going to be on his best behavior because, as I said earlier, when you lose a job and stuff like that, it really kind of does hit you. And when that happened, you go through a period of mourning almost where you think, well, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm done. And then something comes out of the blue that maybe you didn't expect. And then you're pretty grateful for it. So I don't necessarily think all the stuff that he said and all the gratefulness that he expressed was a lie or was a shoot, or was a work rather. I'm sorry. I don't think that was the case. I do believe all that. And so, yes, I do think it will last longer. What was the second part of the question?
So the second part of the question is, what does a successful WWE run look like for CM Punk?
I think it's very simple. I mean, he's expressed what he wants. He wants to headline in WrestleMania. So that could happen as soon as this year. And if that's what he wanted and that was his goals, then I would say if he does that, he's successfully done what he wanted to do. If that's what it is. Now, of course, you not only want a main event at WrestleMania, but you may also want to, of course, to win. And, if that involves a title, then, a pretty good, decent title run for him, I would imagine, afterwards. I'm not saying a Roman Reigns because no one's ever going to do that again. You're not going to see somebody running a 4 or 5 year title reign, but, a good, long, successful title run where they'll, if he is obviously going to be, he's kind of always been a tweener, so you really can see him being but I think it seems as if, I don't know, that's a tougher question, I think, but I would think that obviously winning at Mania, getting that match at Mania, the title match, winning the title, and then going from there. But it's always interesting with that too, because then who do you have go against him? Because Seth obviously is a major face in the company. If Punk is going to be a face too, or kind of that the tweener kind of thing where he is a face, but he doesn't always act like it, then you have two faces fighting. And then what do you do with him afterwards? Who do you put up against him? Plenty of heels out there, right? Somebody mentioned Gunther in the chat and stuff like that. He's kind of coming up and stuff. So it could be something like that. But I would think it would definitely be a Mania win. Now, if he goes to Mania and main events and he loses, which he could, no saying he's going to win, then do you automatically look at that as a failure? I would say no, because he just got back. And what if he wants to stay for 3, 4, 5 years? Well, he doesn't always have to win the title right away. So I would say that those are my answers to it. I think that getting his title match getting the main event Mania, whether he wins the title or not, and then I would say a good run for him, I would think would take him probably to his retirement. 4 maybe 5 year run in WWE. So that would be my answers to those questions.
I'm going to answer the same questions, but he asked this last one: do you believe his run will be successful this time, Joe?
Yeah, I do. And only because, like I said, now, there will certainly be detractors who will say absolutely not. He's never going to learn how to behave. He's just the way he is. And those will be the people who say he's a problem and he's going to be a problem no matter where he goes. But I believe sometimes getting a little bit shocked by something and could put it into your system. Also, look, you just get older and sometimes you get more mature and a little more wise, and you realize that your time is limited in what you do, especially in a wrestling career. And I think then when the time starts to be coming around, thinking like, there's only so many more years I can do this. And so do I jeopardize that again and go out and be unfulfilled, or do I make my wrestling dreams come true?
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah. I'm going to answer him kind of in reverse. Do I think his run in WWE will be successful this time? I do. Your other questions, Yeah, I think he'll be successful. I think a successful run, and this is going to sound very, very simple, but I think it's just as simple. I think a successful run for CM Punk would be him completing a contract.
Mm, okay.
I think the report is 3 years. If that's correct, then I think at the end of 3 years, him still being under contract and maybe negotiating for a couple 1 year deals going forward until he finishes his career. I think that's successful for CM Punk this time. I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just going by what CM Punk, the man himself, has said. Looking at some of his promos, looking at some of the things that have been said. I think that this time around, I do think he's changed. I think that the backlash and everything that he received after everything that happened in AEW has changed him. I do think that. But I also think that he maybe respects some of the people in the WWE locker room just a little bit more. And I think seeing them have the success that they've had in WWE when he's been there, done that, and knows what it takes, and knows that there are people there that may be willing to soak up the knowledge and wisdom of the older performers in the back. I think that's going to motivate him to be a model citizen. I think, just kind of listening to some of the things that he said, I think when he came back to AEW, when he first came back to wrestling, I think what he wanted to do is come in, tell great stories, put some people over, work with some people that he respects, and just help the younger generation understand and get the business to its next place, because I think he wants to see it continue to go. Um, so I think he'll be successful. I think it's just going to come down to having the adults in the room be adults in the room. That's what I think. I think it's going to come down to respect. I think it's going to come down to adults being adults and not posting things on Instagram or doing certain things. I mean, I saw the post from Hangman Adam Page where he posted the picture and he's got the song NDA on there. I get it, but see, like, my thing is this: that's cute and everything, but did you have that same energy when Punk was in the locker room? That's
Yeah.
all I'm gonna ask. But
Yeah.
and that's not me throwing shade at Hangman Adam Page. I like him too. I think we can all like all these people and dislike who we dislike, and all that stuff. That's okay. But I just think that for the people that don't want it to work out, they're throwing you every single reason why it can't work out. For the people who are somewhat optimistic, they're going to tell you that he's completely changed. I'm going to be realistic and say that, is there a possibility of a dust up? Absolutely. Absolutely there is. And it could happen, and I hope it doesn't. But there's a opportunity for it. But I just think I have faith that this time around, especially with him saying that last statement that he said looking into the camera, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. I can guarantee you that that same mentality is shared by the majority of the people in the locker room that he's going to be working with. So,
Yeah, that's Bully shared that statement too, because he came out and he said, well, that's what wrestlers do. He said that's what they are. He said they're not there to make friends, they're there to make money. He said that's very true.
yeah.
So yeah, good stuff, good questions, love it. I guess all we could say is wait and see. We'll find out week after week what's going to happen. More and more that comes out. Of course, Punk is on. The one interesting thing I thought was a very interesting little tidbit here. You know how they do obviously the ratings and stuff of the show and all the percentage points and all that kind of stuff. You know that Randy Orton got a much better percentage of people watching than CM Punk did, which I thought was interesting.
That wasn't.
But you could write that off by saying, well, a majority of people probably tuned in very early on thinking they'd probably start the show with CM Punk because they never really made it clear as to when he would be on. So that could be. And then, you lose viewers over a little bit of time. And then obviously he was on at the end. And so that could be what it was. But it was very interesting, though, that his rating wasn't as high. That not rating, but the amount of viewers, the amount of people that were watching wasn't as high as when Randy came on. So very, very interesting. All right, moving on to our next topic, Jeff. What do we got next?
All right, so up next we go from CM Punk to the Viper, and it looks like Randy Orton is signed to SmackDown now.
Yeah, how about this? Randy comes out to much fanfare on Raw, shows up on Raw and does his thing and has the whole awesome confrontation with Rhea, and all I hear is "mommy, mommy, mommy." Well, Daddy's back. Thought that was tremendous, and then of course he had his way at the end of this whole thing. So. And then he shows up on SmackDown, which was a little bit unexpected when we heard about it on Thursday. Well, Randy Orton is going to be on SmackDown. He did say that he has a big beef, of course, with the Bloodline, which why wouldn't he? They took him out. So he shows up on SmackDown, and you kind of figured, well, there's going to be some sort of dust up here. No Roman Reigns. So it was Jey Uso, of course, and Solo Sikoa. But he did come out, and he was being wooed by both of the men in charge, Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce. Pearce made his way into the arena, which Aldis was not happy about. And then, of course, Randy gets attacked, and then he ends up taking out the Bloodline with some help from LA Knight. Which is kind of cool too. You might end up seeing those two guys kind of team up to help kind of take those guys down. But in any case, the RKO takes out Jey Uso, and man, did he sell that really well. Or Jimmy, sorry. He sold that so well he almost got rolled up with the wrestling mat afterwards.
From my understanding, he's still rolling right now.
Oh my God, that was hilarious. Somebody took a picture of them rolling up the mat, and they were going to roll him into the mat because he never moved. Tremendous. But in any case, Randy Orton chose, as you could see there, he chose SmackDown. And, not surprising because, again, he made his intentions clear. He is going after the Bloodline. He said they got some receipts. He has some receipts that he has to get paid, and he's going to go after Jey Uso and Solo, obviously. But man, oh man! And of course, he yelled at Heyman and said, "You go call Roman Reigns." Well, he did. Right after that was over, you saw him pick up his phone and glare into the camera and go, "Call Roman Reigns," and you just see him do it, and you can tell he was pissed. And Roman supposedly is it this week? I think he's going to be back on SmackDown. So that's going to be an interesting thing. And this could be something else. Remember, we told you about the unpredictability here. We could see, instead of Randy going in the Rumble, we know that Roman's not. Why not have a match between Randy Orton and Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble for the title?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
That would be
obvious. Go ahead, Jeff.
That would be very interesting to do at the Rumble for sure.
Yep.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, he's not going to win because obviously Roman is going to go and defend the title. You're probably right. But it will be very interesting to see the match. You know what will happen there. It'll be the same old story where the Solo or Jey will interfere, but then that could lead to what Randy's main event might be if they go that route. It could be Randy and Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania, or it could be, if you're thinking it's going to be brother versus brother and it's Jey against Jimmy, then obviously Solo is the odd man out, so it would be Solo and Randy. So very interesting stuff here, Jeff, but really, really cool. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect to see it. You don't normally see a superstar come in, and like you said, this kind of stuff is happening on the road to WrestleMania. It's almost kind of like a mini draft where you had one person involved choosing between two shows, and all of a sudden Randy's over on SmackDown. So very, very interesting stuff that happened there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that it makes a lot of sense to have him continue that story with the bloodline because let's be honest. I mean, at this point, Roman has kind of gone through all of the challengers, and even though we kind of know what the result is and is going to be, this is different. We haven't seen it in a while, so this will be a little bit different. Especially seeing this version of Randy Orton going up against Roman. I think will be very good to see. And I think it also does something else for WWE too, because I've seen a lot of people talk about this. The keeping the belt on Roman Reigns has been somewhat formulaic, we'll
Oh
say.
yeah, no doubt.
Um, it's like we can almost call it like Roman is going to get beaten down in the
Yep.
middle of the match. Then all of a sudden he'll hit some kind of heelish move. Then we get interference.
Yep.
Then we get a 1-2-3, and Roman somehow still has the titles.
Referee goes down usually.
Yeah, usually get a ref bump. Yep.
Yeah.
So, so it's become formulaic. This gives WWE an opportunity to book Roman in a way that makes this feel a little bit different, but also add some vulnerability to Roman's run here. Um, and I think if you do that the next few months going into WrestleMania, if you make the foundation look like it's cracking just a little bit, then maybe you get people saying, okay, well, maybe it's not going to be as predictable as I think it's going to be. Maybe you get people to start looking at it a little bit differently. But I think this is a great move for SmackDown to get someone of Randy's stature. I think, like has been said in the chat, I think CM Punk is going to be on both shows. I think whenever it serves WWE well to have him on Raw to pop a big number, they're going to have him there. Same thing with SmackDown. They're gonna do everything they can to show Fox on the way out, hey, this is what you gave up. So they're gonna probably try to get as bigger numbers as they can leading into their new deal with SmackDown going forward. So I think this is a huge deal. I'm glad to see it. Randy looks awesome. I'm glad he's back. And Nick Aldis also sold that RKO very well.
He really did. Never trust the Viper, they said. Nick learned the hard way that you don't turn your back on Randy Orton, regardless of whether you think he's your friend or not. So yeah, I mean, imagine a scenario of something like this going on, right? You have that main event at Rumble with the two of them, and during the course of the show, you have Randy in the back, and maybe he goes back and he pummels Jey Uso. And maybe he handcuffs him to something in the back so he can't get loose. And then he goes back and he does something similar to Solo and he buries him under a big bunch of pile of stuff or something like that so that he can't get out. Randy, very calculating. And so you could see him doing stuff like that. Now, eventually they'll get down to the ring at some point, but with Roman knowing just that fear, like Jeff was saying, a little bit of a different thing, because then he knows that he's playing with somebody on his level. And now Roman knows, Randy's ahead of me here. He knows what's going to happen. He knows these guys are going to come bail me out, and now they can't. Now what do I do? And like Jeff said, change the formula a little bit. A lot of people were getting upset after the last one, and I know I was right there with you. It's sick. It's getting a little tiresome. Like Jeff said, it's the same thing over and over and over again. Change it up a little bit. Even if he doesn't win, change it up a little bit. And who knows? Maybe Randy, maybe his whole point is maybe he doesn't want to win. Maybe it's the mind games. He just wants to show Roman, you know what? I have your number and I can beat you anytime I want. I took out your henchman and now I took you out, and maybe he just RKOs him and I don't know, maybe he RKOs him and just, it's like walks away or something along that wouldn't happen, but something along those lines, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, just get in his head. And like I said, he won't win the title, but just for him to know, I have your number, man. And anytime I want, I got you, because we don't see that with Roman. And then the promos that are going to be happening between Roman and Randy are going to be really interesting too, because Roman oftentimes can intimidate people, and he does. LA Knight, a younger guy, not used to being in the title picture. He not young in age, but not around the title picture. He intimidates him. Intimidated Kevin Owens. He intimidates people. He ain't going to get away with that with Randy Orton. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see. So I think it's a good move. I loved it. I thought it was excellently done all the way around. I love the double GMs. I really do. I said we needed that for a while. I love having Nick Aldis there. I love having Pierce, and I love having them play off each other. I think it's fantastic. It's something that was definitely necessary for both shows. And I'm excited to see what happens next. But Randy Orton on SmackDown's big. Absolutely big.
Absolutely.
Big. All right. Going from one end of the thing to the other. Oh
man.
My God.
Someone that used to be with Randy a good bit.
Yeah, he was.
So I guess we'll go ahead and roll this one over. Ric Flair is tired of the negativity, based on his appearances in AEW, and has said if he's being an embarrassment to the company, that he'll walk away. Tweeting that and sharing that out on social media. Bro.
This came out so bad. The comment that was made, I think, and I didn't see it, but and I don't know that it even ever aired, but it was something that was supposed to be done on Collision, where he comes out and says something about all the women 18 to whatever age come and meet him in his hotel room, or something along those lines. I'm not going to quote it word for word, but oh geez, not good. It's just, look, Rick is a legend. Rick is a Mount Rushmore wrestler. There's no doubt about it. What this man has done for wrestling, nobody can ever take away. He is one of, if not, you can make a case that say he is the best wrestler ever. They're just the best male wrestler of all time. You can easily make a case. But we talked about this on our show before. 18 to 28. Thank you. There comes a time when, and I can compare this. I told you, listen, I was talking about you earlier in the show tonight about Kiss and the concert. There comes a time when it's time to say goodbye. And it's very, very hard. They interviewed the members of Kiss last night after the show. It's hard to let that go when you're used to that, and that roar of the crowd and the people that you're in front of, and that night after night adulation from thousands and thousands of people. And then when you have to stop, you don't know how to live. And with Rick, I totally respect everything he's done for this business. And what he was. We wouldn't have the wrestling that we do if it wasn't for Ric Flair. We just wouldn't. There wouldn't be the type of wrestlers there are today without Ric Flair. And it's okay. The whole thing with Tony, we talked about that and how that was handled, and but it's fine. If he wants to hang around with Sting, it's fine. But you got to understand that if you're going to do that, there comes a time there has to be some sort of filter, and Rick is just never going to be the guy that's going to have a filter. He's an old school dude, and he's just going to do things like this. That's going to be a bit embarrassing. And then Rick turns around and says he's tired of the negativity. Well, aren't we all? So I can't disagree with him there, but Rick, some of this has to be on him. You can't do that stuff. You can't do that stuff. And if people in the locker room got upset by it, you have to respect that. Times change. I get he's an older dude. I'm an older dude. So I'm not as old as Rick, but I'm an older guy. I've seen things. And you just got to understand, and whether you like it or not, times change. And you know, you have to you have to know enough to understand that, or have somebody who's with you who can say, yeah, dude, you can't do that, and stop him from saying it. You know, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know where this should go. I kind of just wish, uh, he would have done that retirement match that he wanted to do so much, and I kind of just wish he would have just retired, and because this kind of thing just makes things worse, and I don't want to remember him for that. I don't. I want to remember him for the stuff that I saw him do. I want to remember him for this stuff. And I mean, I didn't see him when Jeff did. Jeff grew up with this dude down south wrestling. I didn't see that, but I saw him with, the NWO stuff in WCW. I saw him in WWE. That was when I saw most of Ric Flair that I saw without looking in magazines. I want to remember him for that. I don't want to remember him for silly things that just shouldn't say or shouldn't do. And I don't know what's going to go on here, but I can't imagine that Tony is going to just say, take a walk, because that doesn't look good. So I don't know where this goes, Jeff. I really don't. It's just a shame. And I don't want to see any legend in this business have to go down a road like this. He shouldn't have to worry about that. And if he needs to, he should have somebody back there that should kind of assist and say, all right, let me hear what you're gonna say. And just let's not go off the cuff so much. Let me hear what you're gonna say, and then maybe help him a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to this is, Jeff, but it saddens me. It just does. It just saddens me a little bit.
I'm going to say a couple things that might upset a couple people, but I think we've got to be honest. We're at a point where we have to be honest about this. There's only one person, Joe, in my mind. Well, two people that can have that conversation with Ric Flair in AEW. One of those people is a peer, and that's Sting. And the only other person I think that should or could have that conversation with him is Tony Khan.
Mm-hmm.
He's the owner of the company, which I also have to say that I don't put blame on Ric Flair for being Ric Flair.
Right.
I look at Tony Khan and say, okay, take the temperature of your fan base, take the temperature of our society at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be a good PR move for you 6 months down the line if this person says something that might be inflammatory? I think when you're an owner of a business like that, you have to look at those risks and see if they're worth the potential rewards. So I look at Tony Khan as someone who's trying to get more eyes on his product. I get that, but at what cost? At what cost? Clown asked the question: is Ric Flair being president in AEW putting a stink on Sting's retirement tour? I think that's a fair question to ask.
It is.
I think it's a fair question to ask because when they announced that Sting's final match was going to be in the Greensboro Coliseum, I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh my God, they're going to do a tag match with Sting and Darby against Andrade and Ric Flair," and that's not the first. That's not the first thing that we should be thinking about. Is how are they going to shoehorn Ric Flair into this match somehow? I think I think for what Sting has done for professional wrestling, I think it's very unfortunate to have that kind of stench following. I look at Tony Khan and not to be negative or put him down or anything like that either, but I think at this point, if you're Tony Khan going forward, you have to look at it not just from a wrestling perspective, like what's going to pop my wrestling fans, but is this going to be good for business? Is this going to be good for PR? Because if we're being honest, AEW could use some good PR right now. So that's where I stand. I hate to see Ric Flair like this because, like you said, Joe, I saw him, you know, when I was young and he was, getting started in his career and doing the things that he did and, elevating his stature in the wrestling business, having matches against folks like Harley Race and,
Oh,
you know,
you
Rich,
being a Steamboat fan, dude,
yeah,
like that. I
Steamboat, yeah,
mean,
in the Steamboat. I mean, some of their matches were just
classic
crazy,
matches. Yeah,
classic matches. So, yeah, I hate to see him go out like this. I hate the negativity too, but I think in some cases, like this one, I mean, again, it's one thing if you're trying to like shock and awe people, but when you're in a PR position like Ric Flair and people like Vince McMahon are with allegations made against them, you can't say certain things, and you got to have people in charge that can put you in check, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Great point. Yep, we'll see how it goes. It's a wait and see thing, and I just hope it. I just hope it works out good because he is a legend, and I want to see him retire that way. I want to see him leave wrestling on top, like I saw Kiss last night, and go out when how they wanted to go out, and yeah, that's all I want from him too.
Yeah.
We're gonna segue right into the next part because Jeff mentioned this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sting's ending his career in Greensboro, North Carolina. And if you didn't know why, Sting challenged Ric Flair for the first NWA Clash of Champions in 1988, where they had the 45-minute match that ended in a draw. So Flair retained the championship. Very, very meaningful place for the two of them to be at the same time. Very, very meaningful place for Sting to end his career in one of the places that really made him who he was. They didn't announce any match yet, Jeff. No, right? They're still
no.
That's still up in the air as to what that's going to be.
Yeah.
But look, we've talked about Sting many, many, many times on our show. I am a huge fan of this man and what he's done. I told you guys all that one of my favorite characters in wrestling of all time is the Vigilante Sting, the Crow Sting. Just thought it was absolutely tremendous in a time where the NWO was ruling the world, man. Everybody had the NWO black and white T-shirts and all that kind of stuff, and there's Sting kind of standing alone, defending, the honor of his company in what was one of the coolest gimmicks I have ever seen, up in the rafters and all that kind of stuff. I'll never forget him. And because I really, really was a big fan of his going through that period of and of course his past, working with the Ultimate Warrior in the tag team, and and then of course all this. Again, I don't have as much of background watching the stuff from NWA. Jeff can speak way more on that than I can because where I lived, we just didn't get it. And of course, what I have seen from it, I've gone back and watched the matches on YouTube, but I was never able to see his early career until he got to where he was in WCW and then WWE and WWF a little bit after that. So, but yeah, man, I just. And from what I understand, and all of his peers all say what a fantastic guy he is. What a great guy this man is. And so, what's not to like? He deserves every accolade. He deserves every bit of what he gets. And to have it at that Coliseum, Jeff, perfect place to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, growing up in that part of the country and seeing Sting, very early on with NWA and WCW, Jim Crockett Promotions. It was I remember this guy as the bleach blonde, surfer that came in with all the crazy colors and all of that, and got people on on their feet in the crowds and everything. I mean, my goodness, you see a a young black boy in the South painting their face the same way as this bleach blonde white dude on wrestling. I mean, that's what he means and meant to me. I have some pictures. I got to try to dig them out of me painting my face like Sting back then, and wanting a box. I mean, I couldn't do with my hair what Sting could do with his, but I wanted to look like Sting. I wanted to be like Sting, and I remember that match, him and Ric Flair, and being so pissed off that Sting didn't win it and that Ric Flair got to keep the title. I was pissed about that, but yeah, I mean, this is a perfect place. I know Derek, me and Derek talked about it a little bit. This is actually one that I may try to get back for. I don't go back home very often to the South, but I may try to make it possible to go back and see his last match, because I think it's, if you're a fan of his, I think it's going to be a special night. I don't know who they're going to have him go up against. Um, I'm along for the ride though, and I just want whatever he does as his final match to be awesome, and I'm sure it will be.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We have one last little item here, and this is a funny one. But if you're along with us from this past Thursday, you will know we're just going to talk a little bit quickly about IPWF, man. Oh, my God. This just brings a smile to your face. You talk about just fun in wrestling. It was just a fun show, man. So many things that you could look back on. Obviously, DJ Too Large, man. He lost his title, dude. He lost his title. Oh God, it was such a fun. It's such a fun night. I'm not even remembering their names. I mean, just Sweet Georgia Cobb is on there. You see Tim Burr is there.
Colt McCoy is Eddie Edwards.
Colt McCoy is that's right. Colt McCoy was the one who beat DJ Too Large, and I'm sorry, no, Colt McCoy is Eddie. Frankie Kazarian was the character.
The masked brother.
The masked, how can I forget the masked brother? DJ Too Large. That guy on the right up there, that is one Santino Marella. Yes, the masked brother. Yes, sorry, my bad, bonus baby. Yes, it was the mask. Yeah. And then of course you see Rich Swann up there too. It's just a fun show, man. It's just a fun show of the year. I love that they do this because I think, again, I gotta think that these guys have a blast doing that show. It's one thing to play a character, but then it's one thing to turn around and just do something completely silly and kind of poke a little fun at what you do. And we know that, look, over the years, and this is going to be one thing I'm going to miss about Impact if they decide not to go forward with any of this with TNA. I'm gonna miss this funny little stuff that they do. I'm gonna miss like the Johnny Swinger's Casino. I'm gonna miss the Wrestle House stuff. And if they decide not to do this, I know someone mentioned it in the chat the other night about it. I'm gonna miss that too if they decide not to do it, because I think this is necessary. I think this is a good thing. It makes people laugh. It makes people have it. It's just fun. It's fun to watch. It doesn't have to have a storyline. It doesn't have to be something that has ramifications on things going forward. It's just fun. And if you don't find fun in wrestling, what the hell are you watching for? Because, and that's why I think so much of the stuff that we talk about negativity and all that kind of stuff on the socials, I think it's just people who you just don't know how to have fun. And this was just a fun show, and we laughed, and it's just, I hope they continue to do it. I hope they continue to let them do it. I don't see why they wouldn't, as Anthem's still in charge. It's not like they're changing from Anthem when they go to TNA. So I hope they continue to do this every year, because I think this is one of the most fun shows of the year that we do. We just completely have at it. I mean, oh my God, Hall and Oates. We had God.
That was great. That was
I
great.
could Diener, and that character is like a completely different dude. And Diener with that robot dance that he kept doing, he just kept doing
Oh,
this thing all night long. I'm like, oh my God. Uh,
love it.
Absolutely freaking hilarious, dude. I absolutely loved it. Again, it's just so much fun. And, I think too, Jeff, it's a good time for them to do this because holidays can be stressful
Yeah.
for everybody. They just can be. The wrestlers know they're coming to the end of their year. They know that they're going to be going home, spending some time with their families and stuff like that for the last couple of weeks and Christmas time and stuff like that. So it's kind of a happy time for them. But for everybody else, it's shopping, it's spending money, it's getting ready for Christmas, it's getting ready for all this stuff. And I think it comes at a good time. I really love it. Jody Threat and Rich Swann, Rapid Delivery Pete. Oh my God.
Yeah.
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 Jody Threat, what was she, the postman or whatever she
Yeah.
was?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's so good. And I love how, we get new people doing new characters on this when they come in. I want to see, I would love to see Trinity come up with something for next year.
Yeah.
And just see how, but yeah, this is just a fun show, man. Swingers Palace, says Jason. Oh God, it's just so good. And you don't see, like I said, you don't see enough of that. And that's why I said that I was happy that R-Truth is back in WWE, and his little segment that he did with the powdered donuts and everything. It's just funny. And it's just fun stuff. And like I said, if you don't see fun and stuff like that, you don't get a little giggle or a chuckle from it, man, oh man, you take this stuff way too seriously, I think. But yeah, dude, it was fun, Jeff, and it always is.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say something here probably that's gonna irritate some of the TNA diehards here, but what I'm gonna say is this: just because TNA is coming back doesn't mean it has to be everything it once was. Things need to evolve.
Yes.
And as great as TNA was back in the day, it's a different time, especially in the wrestling world. So let TNA evolve. I hope that Scott D'Amore and those in charge will take some of the things that they did in Impact Wrestling, because not everything was bad in Impact. I mean, the folks that act like, Impact was doing a disservice by kind of carrying on that TNA legacy just need to stop. But I hope they do keep this. I really do. I hope that this is one of the couple times a year that they trot out something that was related to Impact Wrestling. I'd like to see them do this once a quarter. But I mean, I don't think that'll happen, but I'd love to see it. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we enjoy. It harkens back to a time where many of us became wrestling fans. We got to see the studio wrestling, the kind of silly gimmicks and some of those weird things that we see back in the 80s and and all that with wrestling. But yeah, I mean, this was a lot of fun. It always is. We get to see other personalities from people that we watch every week. Moose as DJ Too Large, freaking phenomenal. I mean,
oh my God,
he's phenomenal. And to see someone like Frankie Kazarian, as accomplished as he is, and a TNA original that the folks that like to throw that in. Yes, he's a TNA original. To see him not take it seriously and be the masked brother, I mean, it was so funny. It was so awesome,
God, dude.
And if you're a wrestling fan, and I know we always hype up Impact, and it's because we love it, because it's really good. I mean, we're not just saying that because we do a watch along. We're saying it because the show is really good. But if you're a wrestling fan and you just want to laugh and have a little bit of time where you just don't take wrestling that seriously, you're tired of all the CM Punk talk, you're tired of all the AEW's in the mud talk, that kind of stuff. You're tired of all of that, going on out there on social media and everywhere else that you consume wrestling. Go watch this, because this is a good departure from that kind of negativity and that kind of energy surrounding wrestling.
Yep. There's a little movie that I love, and I've watched it many, many times. It's a horror movie called Devil's Advocate. and Al Pacino plays the devil in it. And there's a monologue that he does, which is one of the best monologues I've ever heard in a film. And one of the things he goes, he says, "Oh man, something about." He's going through the monologue and he mentions the thing, no strings, and that's what it is. This is no strings. There's no strings here. You just enjoy it. You just come out and you just enjoy it. There's no drama. There's no strings. It's just enjoyable and it's fun and stuff like that. And I'm going to go into my little bit when we have our grievance. It's a very small one, but I'll segue into that because it does have something a little bit to do with it. There was a comment, Mark, thank you very much. Watch Thursday night show on Access and then had to watch your show the next day to see your reactions on how much fun it was. And they're genuine. We're never going to sit here and fake stuff. That's not who we are. So when we react to something, it's a genuine reaction, and it's because we're literally having fun watching a wrestling show. So, Norris, all that was done was Scott saying we're effing back. Drop the mic and see you next year. No major wrestler is signed. Not happy till Hard to Kill. Okay, okay, dude. Well, listen, whatever. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. We'll see where it goes when Hard to Kill comes around. I agree. Impact has built itself to work with what it has, set its own path and style, and done it brilliantly. Yeah, it's not like we're changing. You know, the name was announced. It's not like they're saying, "Well, we're doing a complete 360 and changing everything we've done." That would be stupid. That would be dumb. Why do that? You're successful. You're doing successful things in many areas. And, you know, if you're a person who doesn't measure that they're doing anything successful, what are you looking at? You're looking at ratings? I've said this many times before. I don't give a crap less about ratings. I give a crap about what I enjoy and what I enjoy watching on TV. I don't care less. I couldn't care less about ratings. It's what I like and what I enjoy. And if you enjoy it, you know, why make it 100% change and turn around? So, all right, good stuff. So that is the first section of our show. We are headed to the favorite part of our show, or your favorite part of our show. And it's coming closer to the actual date, by the way. It's time for the airing of grievances.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
I'm going to let Jeff head this one off tonight. I'm just going to throw in this one little thing, and it just goes back to what exactly we were just talking about. And that's making entertainment fun. This doesn't matter whether you go see a movie, whether you have a favorite program on TV you watch, whether you read a book, whether you play a video game. Let me just say this. Every one of us has different things that entertain us. We're individuals. Everyone likes something different, and that's okay. That should be the case. Now, sure, we may share things with people. I shared my love of a band last night with a best friend that I had growing up, my sister. My wife was sitting in the back watching along. I share my likes with people that are around me, and that's perfectly okay too. You're going to find people out there that you gravitate to, that you become friends with, that you're related to or and such, that you are going to share things with. That's part of life. That said, on the other side of it, there's people out there that just want to crap on everything that is talked about. And I'm not going to sit here and berate them. They are who they are. But, all I would say is before doing that, just find yourself something. There has to be. And I maybe I'm being too positive in believing this, but there has to be something out there that you as a person like? Has to be. Damn it, even if it's a food. I mean, there has to be something that you enjoy. So rather than spending your time going like this and sitting on the phone all day long or on your computer, maybe just take some time out to enjoy whatever it is you do like. And maybe it would just make you a happier person all around. The negativity can just bring everyone down. We've seen it in our channel. We've seen it on Twitter. I see it every single day. I'm Jeff does another show, does a horror podcast. I do a show now about a card game that I play that I enjoy. The thing I see is that, you get a bunch of people who are very welcoming in what you do. And then you get like the 2 or 3 people that are out there that just have to bust your chops and just have to tell you that it sucks and this sucks and that sucks and everything sucks. Guys, if your life, if you're that bad off and that hateful, you'd have to reflect and look inside a little bit as to why you're like that. Because we really shouldn't be getting angry at all in any way about entertainment, because number one, we can turn it off and watch something else. Number two, we can't change it. There's people that are doing this stuff that are in control, and we have no control over it whatsoever. None. A fan isn't going to be able to control a film or a TV show or something like that. You have no control over it. Why waste your time being angry when you just have to click a button and change to something else? There's so much out there, especially in wrestling. There's so many companies out there and so many things to watch. YouTube's got millions and millions of things. If you like something that's old, it's all out there for you. You can find it anywhere. Go and do that. It's wrestling. It's entertainment. Be entertained and just try to be happy. Don't get involved with the negativity. Don't be the negative one. That's it. I'm done, Jeff. Floor is yours.
No, that was good. And I mean, it kind of feeds into what I was going to talk about, which is always good. But over the last few weeks, I'll say, I've noticed that Twitter has become a lot more cesspool ish, more so than it normally is. From people talking trash about different companies and, oh, well, we beat your company on this night in this demo. I don't give a crap about ratings. I like what I like, whether 2 people watch it or whether 2 million people watch it.
Yeah.
I like what I like, period. But I keep seeing people talking about, well, they better do this with CM Punk, the WWE. They better do this. And then I started getting, like going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, seeing other people talking about, oh, well, they should do this with this wrestler and this with that wrestler. And, Joe, it kind of led me to a point. I'd say it's a small epiphany, but I think one of the reasons why we have the dissension and the negativity that we have in wrestling Twitter and wrestling social media is that so many people think that wrestling companies should book around their likes and preferences. That's not how it works. If what a wrestling company does somehow aligns with what you like, that's great. But just because you say it on Twitter and you post a bunch of hashtags and you tag the company and you tag the wrestlers and all of this stuff doesn't mean it's going to happen your way. I really get tired of seeing that because I mean, I just remember being a younger fan, like even when I was a teenager. Oh, I wish this would happen to Hulk Hogan. I really want to see this happen to Goldberg or whoever else. Like that was my wish, but I didn't think I was entitled to have it happen for me that way. I kind of just trusted the company to do what they were doing. And sometimes they let me down, and sometimes they knocked it out of the park. But I didn't think that I was entitled to have my opinion be the way that a company should go. But I think a lot of times because we have these phones and we have these social media accounts where we have the ability to tag a company and potentially be seen by millions of people on social media, to have that moment of fame that so many people want these days, we think that it has to happen our way. And again, we say this, it's kind of unfortunate that we still don't have a Burger King sponsorship, but wrestling isn't Burger King. You can't always have it your way. It's not made to order that way. That's just not how it goes. Wrestling companies are going to do what's the most profitable and beneficial for them. They will listen to you when, like Triple H said, he heard the fans talking about CM Punk, wanting him back, and they wanted to do what the fans wanted. You know why? Because CM Punk and WWE makes a heck of a lot of money, and it's getting a heck of a lot of eyes on the product that probably haven't been on there in a while. I can guarantee you there was a large contingent of people who watched Raw last week who hadn't watched it in at least 5 years.
Yep.
Just throwing that out there. So just understand that it's not always about you. I mean, if it were up to me, and I'm just being honest, if it were up to me, at one point in time, Sting would have held every single title in WCW, every single one. But you know what? Thank God it wasn't up to me because then he would have been overexposed. Just because he was my favorite, I wanted Ricky Steamboat to win the heavyweight title. There were a lot of things I wanted to see Junkyard Dog do. It didn't happen my way all the time. So I just think somehow we've gotten to a point where we feel as wrestling fans or sports fans or entertainment fans, we feel entitled to have things happen the exact way that we want them to happen. And when they don't, we get pissed off. Just like everybody with the Cody stuff, going back to that, and then I'll be done. Going back to that. Everybody's like, well, finish the story. Yeah, he's going to finish the story one day. But who in the hell said it had to be finished at WrestleMania? Mm-hmm. Why can't it be finished at, I don't know, Money in the Bank? Or just name another. I mean, why can't it be finished at the Rumble one year or something like that? I mean, there are a lot of different ways that they can do this, and one of the reasons why they haven't done it the way that the fans want it done is because it's predictable. Because what's going to happen is, as soon as it happens at WrestleMania, everybody's going to be like, "Well, yep, I knew that was going to be the the result of that match. I knew Cody was going to finish the story at WrestleMania." Then it's like, okay, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. It's kind of like it was with CM Punk, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit too, but that's kind of how it was with that promo. It's like so many people wanted him to bash AEW. If he had done that, then he's a piece of trash to one group of people. And it's like, yep, I knew he was going to bash AEW. On brand there, Punk. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, pick a side. Pick something and enjoy that something. Don't be a grubby, miserable POS because you can't have everything your way. All right, I'm done.
Don't be afraid, guys, to be an individual. Individuality has really taken a step back. It just seems today, and maybe it's the social media stuff, that everybody just wants to fit in. Don't be afraid to be an individual. I grew up doing things that no one else did, and you know what? I can look back on it and say I'm proud of it. Going back to Kiss, I was a Kiss fan when they were definitely not popular. I rode the bus to school every day with my Kiss jacket on proudly, and I would get made fun of for it because all the people who were on my bus were the people that loved Led Zeppelin. They loved Pink Floyd. They loved, all of those bands like from the 70s, and I was the odd man out. But you know what? I had fun. I enjoyed it. And I enjoy it to this day. Don't be afraid to be an individual. You don't have to join in. If you see a bunch of people on Twitter massacring something, you don't have to join in. Don't feel bullied to have to act that way, because you don't. Be an individual. And I think you're going to find that you're going to enjoy things more. I really do. So yeah, great stuff, Jeff. Yeah, it's funny how we merged the two of them merged together. But that's listen. We've known each other for a long time now, and that's going to happen a lot. But yeah, man, it's oh boy, it's such a funny thing that this topic we talk about on this show and what we do, and how it can be such a hateful thing to some people. It's beyond me. It's just beyond me. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So, all right, good stuff. That is the airing of grievances, and we're going to move on to our no sell segment next. You guys know how this goes. We're going to talk about topics, and we are going to say whether we will sell them or no sell them. You guys feel free, obviously, to play along in the chat with us. And we are going to start tonight. And our first topic, Jeff, is, I believe it's AEW, right? AEW topic.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about an AEW topic first. So, sell or no sell, AEW needs to make another splash signing to regain momentum and feel the feel of when the company first started. Joe, sell or no sell?
Well, look, you're talking about when they first started. So you're talking about when, we got all the people that moved over from WWE and Jericho and Cody and Kenny Omega and a lot of those people that were first signed on. I guess you can say, look they just signed one of the best wrestlers in the world, in Will Ospreay, who is going to be tremendous. So, do I think they need another splash signing? I'm going to say no, and I'm going to tell you why I think that way. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to no sell this. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I think, number one, I think they got too caught up in that over the past few years. They got caught up in that. They got caught up in, well, we're just going to bring in a new name and generate a whole lot of hype. Like we did early on, and like we did with Edge and some of the people that left WWE. We're just gonna do that. I don't think that's where it is. I don't think that's what they need to do. They have so much talent, and I say this over and over again. They have so much talent on that show. So much talent. So much so that some of it doesn't ever get used, and that's the shame. You have people like a Wardlow. People like Ricky Starks, that kind of thing. You have homegrown talent. You have people there that are young and ready to go, and they have their whole careers ahead of them. And that's what I think they need to do. Do better with what you've got. Let's see some more of what you have. I say this every week almost about AEW, but let's see those women. More than one match a night. Let's see 2 matches. Double it up. Let's see a main event. Man, I can still remember watching that Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker off camera, whatever they called that non-sanctioned main event that they did, was one of the best women's matches I've ever seen. Let's do that. Let's not worry about taking from others anymore. You've got enough. You've got a lot of people there that are great wrestlers. Let's just focus on what you got. And I get it. You know, you want to use these prominent veterans, right? The Adam Copeland and, you know, and Christian and, you know, you want to use these guys, but, you know, let's start to look internally a little bit and let's start building. You want to really become the company you want to be and get up there in the ranks and be able to compete with the heavy hitters. You start from the ground up and you work your young talent and you bring them up. MJF is a prime example. He's a young talent. He's on top of the world right now, but you need more of that. You need more of that. You don't need to keep bringing in names and this kind of, you don't need it. Work with that young talent. Will Ospreay is a young talent. One of the best. Let's see him on the show. Let's not see him every other week. Let's see him on the show. That's my answer.
I'm gonna agree and say no sell. If my sound would play, for whatever reason. All right, what?
There it is.
Probably play 6 times in a row now. But for me, is quite simple. With AEW, well, I'm gonna first pose a question. Remember, Joe, about 5 or so years ago, people were talking about how WWE was just basically stockpiling talent and just keeping people locked away under their contracts until you know people forgot all about them. Honestly, AEW's roster is so bloated.
Yeah, it is.
That I'm pretty sure as a booker, it makes it very difficult to know what directions to go in. And then you're led by, well, this is popular. It popped a big number. So I'm going to keep going with this. And then you got some people who get a chance. And you know, I'm going to be fair and say there are some young talent. They do a lot of stuff with young talent. I mean, I'm thinking about Julia Hart. I'm thinking about, for the most part, not a lot of people were familiar with MJF. There are countless others. I mean, so they've done some great things. I'm not going to pretend that they haven't. But at the same time, when you have the multitude of talent that you have on your roster and you're having trouble creating opportunities for people to be seen on TV, and it seems like you're not going to go down the line of using social media to enhance those opportunities for talent, aside from them kind of getting themselves over or working an angle on social media themselves. You don't need more talent. You just need to restructure what you currently have.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't think they need, I don't think you add more to more and it works out well. So yeah, I think that they need to just continue to build stories. And the last thing I'll say about it too is this: I know that they said they wanted to be an alternative to WWE and do more of the sports based kind of wrestling, and that's all great. But wrestling, professional wrestling, to its core, is about storytelling. You can still tell stories and provide a sports based presentation, but you have to have some form of storytelling as a part. Yep. As a part of your repertoire. You have to have it as a part of your presentation. You have to be able to tell stories. That's how people get behind the underdogs. They boo the bad guys. That's what you do. You build those stories, and I think they have to do a little bit more of that.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. I mean, the MJF stuff is really good. And I really hope that the stuff with the devil thing ends up being what's been rumored, and that's going to kind of be a faction, almost like an anti MJF faction, people that he may have wronged, which I think that's brilliant. And I hope that turns out to be what that is, and not just one person and somebody that is easily predictable. But that kind of thing has to be done all the whole way through, not just with one guy. Yes, you want to focus on MJF; he's huge, but you have so much other things there that you're not utilizing. That's where you got to focus. It's got to
Joe,
come from. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when's the last time we've said, hey, you need to look at WWE as an example of how to tell multiple stories at once? But I, I mean, it's a thing. I mean, they're right now, WWE is telling such great stories with so many different talent that at times I will admit it's hard to keep up with certain stories because I'm focused on this story, but then I get, this story, and it just keeps interweaving throughout the shows, and it's a lot to keep up with. But I mean, you can tell multiple stories. I mean, you don't have to focus on one thing on the show. You can make it about multiple things, and give multiple segments out so that it doesn't feel so heavy handed with certain stories. I, like you said earlier, I get that you want to do stuff with Adam Copeland since he's there.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of sense to do that with Christian because they have the history and the friendship that they have. So it feels great as a wrestling fan. But there are some other things that you can do. I mean, I want to see more Ricky Stark. That's what I want to see more of him.
Yep.
Dude's phenomenal. He's been great since NWA.
Yeah.
But he's awesome. I want to see more. I know we see him. They spotlight him sometimes, but I want to see more. I want to see more of Powerhouse Hobbs. I want to see more of Wardlow. There's a lot of people that as a wrestling fan, admittedly, before they got to AEW, I didn't know a lot about some of the talent that they have. So I want to get to know more of them. And I don't necessarily want to go all the way back to the beginning for them. I want to know who they are now so I can build with them with AEW as they go forward.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's they've got the people there. There's no question. They've got the people there. But when you've got a talent like Britt Baker, and she could count the number of times she's been on a TV screen on her one hand, you've got a problem. You've got a problem. And you don't think that those people don't know that? You don't think that those people, when the time of their contract comes up, that they might not want to jump ship? You've got another thing coming. So yeah, just better utilization of the amazing athletes you have there is the answer to that question. All right, topic 2.
All right, that was some good discussion about that one. All right, I'm pretty sure we'll have good discussion about this one too, Joe. CM Punk's first feud in WWE needs to be against Seth Rollins, Joe. Sell or no sell?
I think the key word in that whole topic is needs to be. Wow. I'm going to no sell. I'm going both no's tonight. I'm going to no sell this. I'm going to no sell it.
All right. I'm trying to get the sound to play. It'll play.
That's all good. That's all good. I'm no selling it because my reasoning for it is because there you go. I knew it was coming. That's why I really didn't want to go into it. I was playing around it. I don't think it needs to be. I think they could build up to this. Obviously, you got the little hint at it. with Seth doing that. And by the way, if you all think that wasn't some sort of work, you're dead wrong. Seth Rollins is a professional at what he does, and even if it wasn't set up that way, he's thinking ahead. He's an intelligent wrestler. He knows what he's doing. He's thinking down the line. So very smart. But does it have to be? No, it doesn't. In fact, you know what? I'll be honest, and I'll go one further. I almost kind of hope it's not. Some of you in the chat earlier were saying somebody like Gunther, something along the. I kind of hope it's not. I got
something else for you. I got something else. Just wait.
Yeah, I kind of hope it's not, because I think it's too predictable, and that this could be for down the road. And if they're going to if Punk does indeed end up win the Rumble, and they're going to end up fighting for the title at some point down the road, then let that go. But it doesn't have to be right away. In fact, I'd keep them away from each other for a bit. I mean, we didn't see Seth come down after him on Monday night during his promo. He might have alluded to Seth being the one that didn't like that he was back. But Seth could have come flying out of the backstage area and started cursing and yelling at him and threatening to beat him up or just go right in and run after him. I think let this simmer,
Mm-hmm.
and let it work itself out. Whether you're going to do this at Mania, or whether you're going to do it at Survivor Series next year, or whether you're going to do it at SummerSlam, it doesn't matter. But let it simmer and let it grow to a boil. You don't need it to be right away. It doesn't have to happen right away. In fact, a lot of people will say, here comes the new guy coming in and he's going right after a title. No earning his way, no having any kind of little matches prior. He's just shooting himself right up the ladder to the title picture. So no, definitely a no sell for me. I think he needs to just work his way up a little bit. I think he needs to come in, and who knows, maybe we get if he does another promo this coming Monday, maybe a different wrestler comes down and kind of pops off to him a little bit, and gets on his nerves. You could pick any number of Raw superstars that can do this. The Miz maybe being one. I know he's kind of turning face now. I mean, hell, it could be Drew McIntyre. Drew wants to start going on the heel side of things. Have him come down and say, where the hell do you get off taking my, I'm the one who should be getting these title shots and all this other kind of stuff, not you. Who the hell do you think you are? And have him come down and start a program with him. To be honest, I think the last thing they should be thinking about right off is Seth Rollins. I think that comes much later. Go ahead, dude. I want to hear what you've got to say.
I'm gonna no sell it, and of course my buttons won't work now for some reason. I don't know why.
It'll happen a little bit. You just play
there we go. There we go. All right. So I'm gonna no sell it, and I think because Joe very cleverly gave a cooking analogy. You talked a lot about letting things simmer.
Yep.
You got to let things marinate. You got to let things kind of meld, the flavors meld. And right now, we've got the boiling going on. Like that whole reaction that Seth had, that was the boiling. Now that we've brought it to a boil, now we have to reduce the heat and let it simmer a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw out a couple names here, Joe, because I think this is an opportunity to, one, for WWE to be extremely petty, but two, I think it can also be seen as a bit of a reset for this person I'm about to bring up, and a new kind of way for CM Punk to kind of open things up in WWE. What about someone like an Austin Theory? I bring him up for specific reasons, but you think about a guy who everyone says has it all, right? He's got the look. We can talk about the charisma. We can talk about some of the other things, but he's kind of the guy that CM Punk had an issue with when he first started his career, right? Now CM Punk's on the other side of that. He's a made man. But you got this kid who he's got the look, but he's missing something, right?
Yep.
Maybe you start those guys out by feuding, but then you have Theory come under the tutelage of Punk.
Hmm.
Have Punk kind of guide him along a little bit. What
Hmm.
would you think about something like that?
That's really interesting. The war of words between the two would be good too.
Yeah,
Theories. Look at so many people. You all know how annoying Theory was, and doing a lot of his promos and stuff. Can you imagine the two of them going back and forth? That's why people were kind of dream matching Stone Cold if he wanted to do one more match with Punk. Could you imagine a war of words between the two of them? But yeah, Theory's a great choice. Because again, he's kind of lost right now. He was right up front, and he was McMahon's picked. He was McMahon's made man, right? Remember when Vince was in the back office and he was going talking to him all the time? So yeah, he's kind of he's hanging around Grayson Waller now, and he's getting double punched by Kevin Owens a lot. But yeah, I agree. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean,
I like
because
it.
if you think about the last 2 years for Austin Theory, think about the people he's been opposite of in the ring. Think about those people. He's been in the ring during a segment with The Rock.
Been in the ring with John Cena.
John Cena. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot there. So it's obvious that they think he's got something.
Yep.
So why not have him go up against CM Punk right away, and kind of have CM Punk honestly destroy him, but I would do it in a way, and this is just me being petty, and I think that some in WWE may do it this way too. Is if you have it kind of play into where Austin Theory somehow goes into business for himself on a promo, much like a situation that happened in AEW. And you have Austin Theory and Grayson Waller try to approach CM Punk in a way like, we don't need to listen to you. Who the heck do you think you are? We don't need advice, since that's some of the story.
Yep.
You don't have to be so on the nose with it, but I think it'd be a cool little way if they're going to be petty. Not that I advocate being petty, but it happens regardless if I want it to or not. But I think that'd be a cool little way to kind of throw a shot across the across the aisle there and say, hey, we can do it this way. You hide from this, we take it and we do stories with it. That kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Just
No, I agree. I agree. And it looks like a lot of people are agreeing with us too. Since Punk is a free agent, have him go to NXT. I love having him face to face with Braun Breaker or Carmelo Hayes. Too much agreeing here, so I want it now. I want Punk and Rollins for the title tomorrow. Effects going through the most. No more reliving IC versus the World. Rollins probably busy. No Cell Punk is a match against someone else at Rumble, and then Seth versus Punk at Mania. I just don't think it has to happen right away. And if you were all under the, I'll tell you one other little tidbit that came out of Busted Open. This was from Bully as well, and he was talking to Mark Henry. So I like to listen to them because I mean, listen, they're two of the best veterans in wrestling at what they did, and they were talking about the Rollins thing and the reaction when Punk came back. And Bully asked, he asked Mark Henry, and he said, "Hey, Mark, was there ever a time when someone came down to a ring that upset you so much that you just wanted to just go and just kick their ass?" And he said, And if that happened, could anyone have held you back? And Mark Henry just said, hell no. And Bully agreed. So if you're under the impression that Seth was, what if that was all not part of a storyline, you're probably wrong. Because if he just reacted, he would have burned up that aisle, like Bully said, and he would have taken Punk out right at the top of that aisle. So the fact that he got held back by Michael Cole, I mean,
I was just gonna say, as much as I love Michael Cole, as much as I love Michael Cole,
yeah, come on,
he ain't holding me back from getting to somebody I want to get to.
No, he's not holding Seth Rollins back if Seth wanted to get up that aisle and beat the crap out of him. There's no way. So yeah, and whether Seth knew or not, that's going to be a question that we may never find out the answer to. But whether he knew or not, he did exactly what they wanted him to do, and they wanted that put on social media. By the way, guys.
Yeah,
no doubt they wanted that on social media. So, all right, I believe that is it for that segment. We're moving on. We've got our one of our newer segments on the show, and we're moving on to burning question of the week. It's time for the burning question of the week, and of course, we have kind of a theme going on here.
As if it hasn't been toasty enough, right? It's about to get a little toastier.
Do you think, and you guys can answer, please, do you think CM Punk is a hypocrite? Ooh. By going back to WWE after trashing them for years? Wow. What a question. Man, this is definitely a burning question because there's so many ways. There's so many ways you can look at this.
Yeah.
Do I think he's a hypocrite by going back to WWE after trashing them for years? You know what I'm going to say to this, and this is probably a cop-out, but I'm going to say no, and only because of the business he works in. If this was anyone else, and let's say you worked in another profession, and you were in, I don't know, let's say you were in business doing something else, and you basically left that particular company, and then somewhere down the line you wanted to go back, and they hired you back, and everything was all good again and stuff like that. But in the meantime, you told your friends how much they sucked, and and all this stuff. Because it's wrestling, I'm going to say no, because to be honest, wrestling invites this kind of stuff. Pro wrestling invites this kind of stuff. It makes for great stories. And whether he is a hypocrite or not, personally, I don't know, because you know what? In wrestling, the lines are so blurred between reality and what's not reality that you kind of don't know if you got the whole story anyway. We only know what he said happened on that podcast, right? And how the medical stuff happened and all that. And I'm not going to say I don't believe him. There are things that happen that occur, but you know what? You're only getting one person's point of view there. They never went back and talked to the doctors and stuff who he mentioned about, and they never went back and got their side of it. So, and they never will, so I would say, is the behavior hypocritical? Probably, sure. But is he a hypocrite by going back to WWE? Listen, he didn't make them take him back. They asked him to, and probably paid him a good deal of money. So, no, I don't think so. And like I said, if you're going to say that about him, then you kind of have to say it about everyone. Because at one point or another, did people call Hulk Hogan a hypocrite when he left WWE, went to TNT? Maybe they did. But then so look at all the amount of people that followed him there. So if CM Punk's being hypocritical, We've seen hypocritical people all throughout the years in wrestling because they all go from one boat to another boat to another boat and then return to the other boat. That's just how it goes. And if you're going to say that about him, you got to say that about every single one of them, even the ones like, Macho Man and Roddy Piper. And then they ended up coming back and being enshrined into the WWE Hall of Fame. Hulk Hogan. Yes. So there's what I think about the hypocrite stuff. I mean, if they're all hypocrites, they've all been accepted into the WWE Hall of Fame, which I would bet CM Punk will be too. So there you go.
I'm gonna throw a because I like this question. I'm gonna throw a question back at people. If you're saying that he is a hypocrite, let me ask you a question. If we're applying the same standard, you remember that restaurant that you said, you know what, I'm never going back to that restaurant, and then you're there 2 weeks later, does that make you a hypocrite? That job that you worked and you had a really crappy boss and you left that job, if that boss was no longer there and they called you and said, hey, we'll give you an additional 25 grand a year if you come back, would you go back? Would that make you a hypocrite? I can go ahead and tell you right now, I used to work at the NCAA. Did not have a pleasurable experience there. If they called me tomorrow and offered me a job, I'm not saying I'd go back, but I can tell you one thing. I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've said some pretty nasty stuff about the NCAA. Please know that. But legally, I haven't put that anywhere in writing. So anyway, but I think it all depends on how you look at it. I think at times we can all be hypocrites. We all do things again that we say we'll never do, and we end up doing it anyway. Yep. Does it make us a hypocrite? Or do we need to look at it and say, you know what, maybe I should never say never in my life? Because this, one of those sayings that I heard my grandparents say a lot is never burn bridges because you never know if you'll have to cross back over them again. And I think this is a perfect case of that.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest with you. TNA threw a big offer out at CM Punk, reportedly. But for CM Punk, that's not where he wanted to be. I feel like there were some things with CM Punk at this point in his career where he's like, you know what? Where's the best place for me to do the best, the biggest business? We can argue that he could have had some great matches in TNA, and I think he would have been a huge asset to TNA. But I think if you're looking for the biggest story, obviously we've seen the amount of buzz that his return to WWE has gotten on social media and in mainstream media. So obviously this is a business move. And I think sometimes when we're looking at business decisions, we have to take personal feelings out of it. If this was a purely personal decision, I'd say, yeah, he's probably a hypocrite. But I think we all are at times.
Yeah.
But this is a business decision. And at the end of it, if it goes well, like I think a lot of us think it will, it's going to make a lot of people a lot of money. And it's going to get a lot of eyes on people that maybe wouldn't have gotten that many eyes before. So I think this is a huge opportunity for him to kind of rewrite some of the history. And I think now that you have a new team at the helm, I think things are going to be a lot better this time.
Yep. Totally agree. Good stuff. Let's see what everybody's saying. Roman is a hypocrite for taking time off when others turn up for work. I wish WWE saved Punk's promo for Smackdown and gave Orton all of Raw, but I understand that it was rushed due to Orton's storyline. Everyone at some point in life is a hypocrite. It's what makes us human, says James Grant. It kind of felt like CM Punk wanted to follow what Cody Rhodes did at AEW. I was taught never burn bridges. You may run out of matches. I'm hoping that Orton gets Reigns at Royal Rumble, Styles at Elimination Chamber, then have Rhodes finish his story. Punk and Rollins to main event night 1. Was LeBron a hypocrite for going back to the Cavs? Yeah, it happens a lot. It does. It happens a lot. Could you label them that? I guess you could. It's kind of a little bit of a definition of it, but yeah, I agree. I in this particular case, I don't think so. So, all right, guys, we're moving on. What do we got next? We have a couple things to watch for this week. Yeah.
We got a couple things to watch for. I'm also watching for the time.
Yes.
I was
getting late. We're running a little late. We might have to cut it or go very quickly or cut it a little shorter. Yeah.
So
we're getting on that 11 o'clock hour. So what to watch for? We've got 2 pay-per-views coming up, as you might probably know. We have NXT Deadline, which comes up this coming Saturday. Make sure you check out Tazzy's channel. Tazzy will be streaming NXT Deadline. So go and hang out. Well, if you're going to hang out with Tazzy, make sure you hang out with us too. Just hang out with us both at the same time. But Tazzy's going to have this on his channel. Does a great job with NXT. A lot of stuff going on down in NXT every single week. It's been an amazing show down there. So much going on. And if you watch it every single Tuesday, I'm sure you're going to want to see this. This is their last, of course, pay-per-view of the year. So make sure you go and check that one out. And then we also, Jeff, have an Impact show. Yes, Final Resolution. The final, well, ironically enough, it is the final Impact pay-per-view that we will see before they become TNA. And just a little quick thing with the card you got Motor City Machine Guns versus Josh Alexander and Zack Sabre Jr. Huge. Mike Bailey versus Trey Miguel. Awesome match there. Sheldon Jean and Frankie Kazarian going at it one-on-one. Sheldon getting a little bit of a push here, a little bit better matches now that Kenny King has moved on. Jake Something and Jason Hotch go one-on-one. Tommy Dreamer versus Diener I believe that's for the Digital Media Championship. Yes. So Cody Deaner against Tommy Dreamer for the title. We've got Rhino against Moose, the Battle of the Animals going on there. We've got Trinity and Jordan Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo and Giselle Shaw. And we have the Motor City. Well, I already read that one out. Yeah. So those 6 matches, there may be a couple more. They usually like to do that right before we get the final card for that. But that is the matches we have so far. So make sure you come and join us for that. We'll be a 7:30 start on Saturday night. So we will be there for that one. And of course, there's Tazzy in the chat. Make sure that you're joining him. Look, you're going to have to split screen us, guys. You're just going to have to. You're going to have to do, watch 2 things at once. I know if you need to know how to do that, hit up James Chadwick. He does like 4 or 5 things at once. So yeah, come out and check it out. Last pay-per-view as Impact Wrestling Final Resolution this coming Saturday. Yeah. So come check it out. We'll have it on our channel. Moving on. We've got our favorite moments of the week. Yeah.
Yep, favorite moments of the week time, folks.
All right, guys, we're going to do our favorite moments, and we're going to get on out of here for the night. So 3, 2, 1, you know how it works. Give us number 3, give us number 2, then give us number 1. We'll start at number 3. Jeff, number 3 favorite moment of the week for you.
My number 3 favorite moment of the week this week is the work that Drew McIntyre is doing. Not just on screen, but what he's doing on social media to continue to drive the point home. He's telling you why he's frustrated, right?
Yep.
So he's really playing into this whole, what's going to happen with this contract? What's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? He's playing us, and I love it.
Yep.
So Drew and the work that he's doing, number 3 for me. I just felt like it was a great. I love what they're doing with his character.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So many people wanted to see it anyway. They were like,
Yeah,
"What are you going to do with him?" And it's good because it works reality into the wrestling part of it. Like Jeff said, people don't know what he's going to do. He hasn't re-signed yet, so they don't know if he's gonna be back with WWE. Nobody knows, and that's part of it also. My number 3. I talked about this, I think, last week on our Impact show, or this past week on Thursday on our Impact show, probably before we started the show. But oh my God, did I miss R-Truth? I miss this guy so much. And I even tweeted out about it, saying that he is so needed in wrestling, and for a lot of the reasons why I talked about in my grievances. The stuff that he does in the back is priceless, and the powdered donuts and stuff, and in the back with Judgment Day when it's supposed to be all serious back there with them, and then he's back there eating the donuts, and then he tells them asks them if he could join their team for Survivor Series, and they're like, "Truth, it's over." It was a couple days ago. He's priceless, man. The dude is just funny. And this is what I said going back to the IPWF stuff and things like that. Wrestling needs funny. It just does, more now than ever. And that's why I'm so glad for guys like him and guys like Santino Marella on Impact, Johnny Swinger. These guys mean something. They may never be the people that are going to hold titles. They may never be the people that are going to have a long title run, but you know what? They are so important for wrestling. They really are. They make people laugh, and that's a big part of wrestling. It really is. It was for me growing up, watching guys like George the Animal Steel rip open turnbuckles with his teeth, leaping Lanny Poffo, throwing frisbees out to the audience. I mean, this is just funny stuff, and it's good. It's really, really good. So that's my number 3. R-Truth. Love it. Absolutely love it. And super, super glad he's back. Let's see what we got. Drew going full heel, says James Grant. Edge and Christian. Great promo. I did get to see that. I don't watch a lot of AEW, but I did. It was really good.
that was great.
R-Truth segment with Judgment Day on Raw. Very funny. Oh, it was absolutely great. Nakamura setting up a feud with Cody. How about that one, right? He becomes the big reveal. Who was he talking to? Everybody assumed it was CM Punk. Nope. You're wrong.
Yep.
It was Cody. That's going to be good stuff, man. Good stuff. And he got the mist, the red mist. Cage Copeland promo for me. Randy able to give the RKOs. Drew losing his kilt. Reed versus Gargano versus Lee versus Grimes. IPWF says bonus baby. Reed versus Gargano, Lee versus Grimes from NXT. WWE announced KO has fractured his 4th and 5th metacarpal. Could be a story. Yeah, it might be. I'm not really sure about that one. Edge telling Christian to go F himself. Yeah, how about that? Dropped an F-bomb. I don't know if that was within the time limit of dropping an F-bomb either. They might get a little fine for that one. Frank the Butcher on IPWF. Oh, God. I know, right? Rhino. Oh, man. He's so good. He's so good. A good feud for Roman, maybe, says A. Jobson. All right, Jeff. What's your number 2, man?
Number 2 for me is the fact that we live in a universe where CM Punk is back in WWE. We're getting TNA back in 2024.
Yep.
And Randy Orton hit an RKO on Nick Aldis on SmackDown. Again, the fact that we live in this universe and we're going to see, so many other things in 2024, but wrestling right now is a lot of fun.
It's true.
And just those 3 things for me. Seeing CM Punk back on Raw was weird. I'm not even going to lie to you. It was weird. It was very weird. It took some adjusting. Seeing Randy Orton on SmackDown reminded me of way back when. And seeing him going after the bloodline and then seeing LA Knight come down and getting that huge pop. I mean, I'll just WWE's on fire right now.
Yeah.
They just are.
Yeah, they really are. My number 2 is Randy Orton segment from Monday night. Not even to mention the stuff on SmackDown as well, but I just seeing him back, and I can't help but say I cringe a little, whenever he takes a bump on that back, man. I do, and I'm sure that'll happen for a little bit until you realize he's okay, and he bounces back up from it. But yeah, like Jeff was talking about earlier, if you would have asked yourself if you thought any of that stuff would have happened in wrestling this year, you probably would have thought, no, my God, that's crazy. But the fact that he's back and the promo that he had with Rhea Ripley was phenomenal. Mommy and Daddy's back, and just phenomenal stuff. And then can you imagine now that he's on SmackDown and the stuff he's going to get into with Paul Heyman? Oh, man. Just so good. And wrestling's a better place when Randy Orton's around, plain and simple. And I'm just glad. I'm kind of glad that the ratings turned out the way they did, because Randy deserves that. He absolutely deserves that. And I'm glad. I'm also glad he let off the show, because they could easily have let CM Punk off. They could easily have done that. But Randy deserves it. He fought back when some people told him he shouldn't and couldn't. And he made it back. So Randy Orton's return and his promo and his subsequent move to SmackDown and the interaction with Nick Aldis, this week was just a lot of Randy Orton, and I loved it. So that's my number 2. Punk promo was Brandon's number 2. Edge's F-bomb was A. Jobson's number 2. Athena cutting a promo on Eddie Kingston is let's see. Will BFAB Asante join the Street Profits? Randy giving Nick a Christmas gift, an RKO. Randy versus Dominic. Randy giving the call this an RKO. V Grimes, Reed, and Gargano. Finally, a good feud for Roman, maybe. Frank the Butcher. Yeah, okay, that's Frank the Butcher. Juice is loose. Well, yeah, okay, all right. Jeff, what's your number 1, dude?
All right, I'm gonna go 1A and 1B. My 1B this week is. I'm trying to think of the way to word this. All of the comedic things that have happened in wrestling over the last week, whether that's the match where you've got Bronson Reed and Gargano does kind of a catapult to one of the other guys right into the nether regions of Bronson Reed, and the look on his face and him dropping Wesley, it was priceless. Seeing Jimmy Uso selling RKO for like 30 minutes, fantastic. But I've got to point out IPWF, and if this is the last time that we saw it, it was a lot of fun. I really hope that this isn't the last time. I mean, it's a lot of fun. So I hope that they continue this under the TNA umbrella. But yeah, all the comedic stuff in wrestling over the past week, and obviously R-Truth being back is just tremendous. But I'm gonna go 1A here, and this is personal. 1A for me this week is I get to take my boy on Saturday to meet his favorite wrestler. I get to take JJ to meet Cody Rhodes on Saturday.
Nice. Oh, he's going to be at that place signing autographs.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
And he is pumped. I'm pumped for him. So yeah, that's my 1A. I think it's pretty darn cool that I'll get a chance to do that with him. It's funny. He's like really, really excited about it. So
I'm sure.
But yeah, this is going to be really cool for him. So really looking forward to that.
Gonna need some pics from that.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Somebody asked in chat real quickly about Mackenzie Mitchell. She was part of another wave of releases, which was not any of the wrestlers that came because of the Endeavor move. Of course, she is married to oh man, who is her husband? I just read it here.
Big Joseph.
Vic Joseph. Yeah. Just said she was released by WWE. I met my husband, moved cross country for NXT, a place I've always considered home, and met friends that became like family. I always said and firmly believe in when one door opens, one door closes, another opens. So didn't really give any reason other than that they said that they were just cut downs from the Endeavor move. So yeah, so there you go. My number one. My number one was, for me, the laughs that I got from it, and I guess I'll go 1A and 1B too, but the laughs I got from it were the stuff that I really needed was IPWF. I love doing that show. I'm glad we got to do it because a lot of times we don't, where they, in the past they've done it live and then they didn't put it on the following show. So laughs are much needed in the world for everyone, myself included. And I really enjoyed doing that. Got a kick out of it. Loved seeing it, and it's great to laugh. And my 1B is the Punk stuff, the CM Punk promo, and how he came out and did it. Wasn't really shocked by the way he did it, but I was a little shocked by the ending. So I kind of like that though, because I love how, and they have to do this because of the age we're living in. They have to make things sometimes cryptic. And I kind of like how he did that and left it open. And it goes back to how we started our show tonight, because it can be observed and broken down in any number of ways. And it could turn out any number of ways as well going forward. So those are my two number ones. George Iceman doing the ringside interviewing at IPWF. He was brilliant at it, the old school style that I miss. Alpha Academy, number 1A and B, Tony Storm, and then IPWF. KO and Randy absolutely carried last night's show. My number one, Orton signing with Smackdown. John G and Alexa Bliss 0809 both said congratulations, of course, to Alexa Bliss becoming a first-time mom. That was wonderful news that we got this week. Alexa Bliss had a daughter. Yes, a daughter, I believe. Yeah, pretty sure it was a daughter that she said she. I
didn't realize she had. I didn't realize she had the baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, announced it a couple days ago. I think it was that I read it. So yeah. Obviously, congrats to her. That's always a wonderful thing, becoming a mom. So, all right, guys, we are gonna wrap it up. Thank you for coming out tonight. Again, if you have not done so and you're new to our channel, first of all, thanks for coming out and listening to us. We really appreciate you, all of our members of the channel, and all of you that come out to listen to our show every week and all the time. We appreciate all of you. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new and you haven't done so yet. Please hit the like button as well in the stream tonight, because it's very, very, very big. If you don't do anything else at all, please hit that like button. It takes like a second of your time. So hit that like button for us. Very, very necessary for people on YouTube to get their videos seen. So please do that for us before you go. And make sure you join us. Next show will be on Tuesday. It'll be Abby's Abode. Make sure you join Jeff and Jody for that. She's got some stuff going on there, some giveaways she's going to do for some music and stuff. So come out and see that. And then, of course, we'll be back on Thursday for Impact. For Impact Wrestling on Thursday. I'll get the card out for you. I'm not exactly sure what it is yet and what it's going to be, but we will be there 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Should be some sort of go home show for the pay-per-view, and then of course we'll be doing the pay-per-view on Saturday. So Final Resolution is this coming Saturday, the same night as NXT. You're going to have to be using two screens, but come out and see us on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, guys, that is it for us. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Please stay safe. Please be kind to one another always. And hopefully we will see you all soon on our next show. Have a great one, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.